Have you ever walked past someone who needed help and told yourself, someone else will stop? What if that one moment changed two lives forever? Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can become the biggest miracle a person has ever known. This is the story of a little girl who stood outside a busy restaurant with an empty stomach, while hundreds of people walked by without seeing her. But all it took was one kind heart to remind everyone that compassion still exists. Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to Kindness Waves, like this video, and leave a comment telling us what kindness means to you. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories that remind the world that even small acts of love can make a huge difference. It was a cold Friday evening in downtown Chicago. The streets were filled with people rushing home after work, while others dressed in expensive clothes laughed as they entered one of the city's most popular restaurants. Bright lights reflected on the wet sidewalk after a light rain, making everything sparkle. The smell of fresh bread, grilled steak, and warm soup drifted through the air. Just outside the restaurant stood a little girl who looked no older than 8 years old. She wore an oversized gray hoodie with worn-out sneakers that had small holes near the toes. Her cheeks were red from the cold, and her tiny hands were tucked into her sleeves to stay warm. Her name was Lily. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't shouting for attention. She simply stood quietly near the entrance, watching families enjoy their dinners through the large glass windows. Every few minutes, she looked away and swallowed hard as if trying to ignore the hunger in her stomach. Many people noticed her. Some looked away. Some pretended they didn't see her. Others whispered to one another before walking inside. No one stopped. Inside the restaurant, people celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and business deals. Plates filled with food came and went. Laughter echoed through the dining room, while Lily remained outside alone. Nearly an hour passed. Then an older man walked toward the restaurant carrying a small paper bag. His name was Robert. He was a retired school bus driver who had spent 40 years helping children safely get to school every day. He wasn't rich. In fact, he carefully counted every dollar he spent. As Robert reached the entrance, he noticed Lily standing silently. He smiled gently. "Hello there," he said. "Are you waiting for someone?" Lily shook her head. "No, sir." Robert could hear the weakness in her voice. "When was the last time you ate?" he asked softly. The little girl looked at the ground. "I don't remember," she whispered. Robert's heart sank. Without saying another word, he walked inside the restaurant. The hostess assumed he wanted a table. Instead, Robert asked if he could buy the biggest meal they had for someone outside. A waitress looked through the window and saw Lily. Within minutes, the kitchen staff prepared a warm meal with chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables, fresh bread, and hot chocolate. Robert carried the tray outside himself. When Lily saw the food, her eyes filled with tears. "For me?" she asked quietly. Robert nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. Everyone deserves a warm meal." Before taking the first bite, Lily folded her hands. She whispered, "Thank you, God." Then she looked at Robert. "And thank you." She ate slowly, trying not to waste a single crumb. People walking past began to notice. Some stopped. Others watched through the restaurant windows. The waitress who had prepared the meal quietly wiped away tears. One customer asked to pay for another meal in case another hungry person came by. Then another customer offered to buy blankets. Someone else donated winter coats. Within half an hour, strangers who had never spoken to one another were working together to help people in need. All because one man decided not to walk away. As Lily finished eating, Robert asked where her family was. She explained that her mother had recently lost her job. They had been staying in a small shelter across town. Her mother was searching for work while Lily waited nearby, because the shelter didn't serve dinner until much later that night. Robert listened carefully. He remembered how difficult life had been after his own wife passed away years earlier. Kindness from neighbors had helped him survive those lonely days. Now, it was his turn to help someone else. Robert contacted a local community center he had volunteered with before. They quickly connected Lily's mother with food assistance, temporary housing support, and job placement services. A week later, Lily's mother found work at a nearby grocery store. It wasn't a perfect job, but it was a new beginning. Months passed. Winter slowly turned into spring. One sunny afternoon, Robert returned to the same restaurant. As he reached the entrance, someone called his name. He turned around. Running toward him was Lily. She looked completely different. She wore clean clothes, new shoes, and the brightest smile Robert had ever seen. Behind her stood her mother, holding flowers. She hugged Robert tightly. "You saved us," Lily said. Robert smiled and gently shook his head. "No," he replied. "Kindness saved us all." Her mother explained that many people who had witnessed Robert's simple act had continued helping. Donations from strangers had covered rent for several months. Volunteers had helped them move into a small apartment. Local businesses had donated clothes and school supplies. One act of compassion had created a chain of kindness that changed an entire family's future. Before they left, Lily handed Robert a folded piece of paper. It was a drawing. It showed two people standing outside a restaurant. Above them was a heart. Underneath, she had written, "One kind person can change someone's whole world." Robert kept that drawing in his wallet every single day. Whenever life became difficult, he looked at it and remembered that kindness doesn't require wealth. It doesn't require power. It only requires a willing heart. Years later, Lily graduated from college. She became a social worker, dedicating her life to helping struggling families just as others had once helped hers. Whenever someone asked why she chose that career, she smiled and told them about a cold night outside a restaurant when one stranger stopped instead of walking away. That stranger never imagined his simple decision would inspire countless acts of kindness for years to come. The truth is, every single one of us has the chance to become that person. We may never know how deeply one smile, one meal, one conversation, or one helping hand can change another life. The smallest act of kindness often creates ripples that travel farther than we can ever see. So the next time you notice someone standing alone, remember Lily. Remember Robert. Remember that compassion is never wasted. Your kindness may become the hope someone has been praying for. Thank you for spending these moments with us. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Kindness Waves, like this video, and share it with someone who believes that kindness can still change the world. And never forget, when we choose kindness, we don't just change someone else's story. We make the world brighter for everyone.